and welcome to Miss Hef's Remote Teaching TV Week 2 Music. As you all know, tomorrow is Anzac Day, and this week we're going to be reflecting on some of the music used in Anzac parades and ceremonies, so you guys have a bit more of an understanding of why the music is played and what its historical significance is. I hope you had a great week last week. I know we got some fantastic hand washing challenges come through. So what we're going to do is a musical challenge every fortnight. So you guys have another week, if you haven't, to get your lovely videos in. Now I do know that videos are massive files. They can do your head in trying to transfer them. So I have on Compass put in a learning tasks button. Now if you've got multiple members of your family, you might like to just pop it into one child's little upload button. I understand at the moment that bandwidth and things like that can take hours. Trust me, I've been trying to upload videos. I understand your pain. So I'm trying to look for an alternative, but at the moment you guys are probably inundated with so many platforms and you need passwords and accounts for things, so we're just going to take a bit of a chill pill on that. Feel free to email if you've got any problems. Okay, so Anzac Day. Generally, I would be marching on Anzac Day. I'd have my flute or my saxophone and I would be marching either in Melbourne or locally, playing some tunes as part of Anzac Day ceremonies. Unfortunately, this year is a little bit different, and as such, I thought we'll share some music instead. So this week, from Foundation to Grade 6, you guys are going to be looking at some tunes. So your task this week is to have a look at singing It's a Long Way to Tipperary. If you're finding the words are a little bit difficult, you might want to see if you can whistle or hum the tune. The other thing you might want to do is see if you can march along at the same time. It's a long way to Tipperary, something like that, to show me if you can keep the beat. That song's called It's a Long Way to Tipperary. It's a song I generally be playing on my flute or my saxophone as I be marching up the streets in Melbourne or locally as part of an Anzac Day parade. It's a Long Way to Tipperary is a music hall song, or like a pop song, written by Henry James Williams and Jack Judge. It was, as the story goes, written for a 5-shilling bet on the 30th of January 1912 and performed the next night at a local music hall. It became quite popular and the words were changed from It's a Long Way to Connemara to It's a Long, Long Way to Tipperary to try and build morale amongst soldiers. So in August in 1914, it became a bit of a hit amongst an Irish regiment. So the song was quickly picked up by other units of the British Army and then recorded by Irish tenor John McCormick. He was kind of like the Pavarotti of his time. So it basically went viral. So what was the song actually about? Unlike a lot of tunes during the war, it wasn't really warlike. It wasn't encouraging soldiers to be heroic and do great deeds. Instead, it was about longing for home, thinking about where you came from and those you missed. Another song popular at the time, and again not warlike in its nature, was Pack Up Your Trouble in Your Old Kit Bag and Smile, Smile, Smile. It was basically a marching song published in 1915 in London. So it was written by George Henry Powell and set to music by his brother Felix. So these music hall stars basically rescued this song from their reject pile and they rewrote it and actually won a wartime competition for the marching song. It became incredibly popular, helped boost morale during the war and took, I suppose, attention away from some of the horrors that the soldiers were experiencing. And it was one of those songs which helped maintain morale, help recruit more forces, and also help the British war effort and its aims.
Pack up your troubles in your own kit bag and smile, smile, smile. While you're a Lucifer to light your fag, smile, boys, that's the style. What's the use of worrying? It never was worthwhile. So pack up your troubles in your own kit bag and smile, smile, smile.
So some of the tasks this week are a little bit different. We're going to do a few listening exercises, and particularly for students from grades 3 to 6, you guys are actually going to do a little bit of a lyric analysis and hopefully build a new vocabulary as well. So grade 5s and 6s, you're actually going to be doing some listening of the Australian Chamber Orchestra and their reflections on Gallipoli. This was a concert that they conducted a few years ago, and it uses moving images of World War I footage as well as playing music. So they would play live with the music. So I'd encourage anyone who might be interested to have a look. It's quite a moving concert. So grade 5s and 6s, you're not expected to watch the whole thing because it goes for about an hour and a half, but you will be choosing some sections to have a listen to and respond to some questions about what you're hearing. Now, the other thing, it couldn't be Anzac Day if we didn't have Anzac biscuits. So I'm going to encourage you all this week to make some Anzac biscuits, sit back, have a bit of a listen to some music, and make sure you spend some time reflecting on the contribution of our diggers past and present. Okay, so Anzac Day wouldn't be complete without some Anzac biscuits. So we're going to learn how to make some Anzac biscuits today. Pretty simple. So all we need is 1 cup of oats, so that's just your standard cup. Over here, I've got a cup of brown sugar. I've got a cup of flour and a cup of desiccated coconut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that and plonk it all in. Okay. Meanwhile, in another container, I have about 125 grams of butter. I've got 2 tablespoons of golden syrup, and I've put a tablespoon of water. So what I'm going to do is melt that. So you can either do this in the microwave or you might want to do it on the stove. So if you're a little bit smaller, you might want to ask mum and dad or an older brother and sister to help you out. Okay, so what I've done is melted the butter and the golden syrup. And what I'm going to do is add 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda just into the mix there, rough enough. Give it a bit of a squidge. And then I'm just going to break up what I'm doing here. Give it a bit of a stir so all the dry ingredients, get rid of the clumps and lumps. And then I'm going to tip all of this lovely butter straight in. Okay. Now what we need to do is just give it a good stir. So make sure it's all mixed in. And you'll find that the butter will spread all the way through. So while you're stirring, you might decide to sing a little bit of a song, maybe one of the songs from this week that we've been learning. Might be pack up your troubles in your old get back and smile, smile, smile. Alright, beautiful. So now we've sort of got a mixture. As you can see, it's sort of coming together. It's gone to a little bit of a browner colour. And then is our next step. So what I've got here is a couple of trays lined with some baking paper so that they don't stick. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab our mixture. Now some people are really clever and they can get their spoon and they spoon it on beautifully. I'm a bit rough around the edges. We've got hands. They're our first form of cutlery. So what I'm going to do is just sort of get a bit of a clump and give it a good squish, like pat a cake, pat a cake. If they're not all together, your biscuit's going to bust and break into pieces. So give it a good squish. Now if you want big biscuits, just use a bigger size like that. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'll keep making a few more of these, and once I've got them ready, I'm going to put them in the oven, which is about 175 degrees, and I'm going to cook them for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okey-doke, so these have been in the oven for about 15 minutes, and they've come out and let to cool, and so we've got our lovely Anzac biscuits. So this recipe was used because people in Australia, and a lot of wives and girlfriends and mothers, would bake some Anzac biscuits and actually send them over to the troops in anywhere from Egypt to Turkey or the Western Front. So these were actually able to be preserved for weeks on end, so they could go through the whole journey. I don't know if these are going to last a whole week, but I hope you've enjoyed cooking up some Anzac biscuits. Sit back and enjoy.